Hi there, everyone. I am Melissa Wilson from Fox 26 News. I'm the morning news anchor there, as well as medical reporter. And for the next 20 minutes or so, we are going to enjoy some lunch for the soul together. This is a time to talk about how many people are able to overcome faith over fear, baby. We're talking no fear, all faith. And Daniel Ortiz is the perfect example of that. He is joining us now live. Hi, Daniel. Welcome to Lunch for the Soul.
Hello, how you doing?
Well, I am so thankful you're here, and we have an amazing powerhouse from TIRR Memorial Hermann who's going to join us in just a moment as well, who I know has helped you a ton. But I want to start with your journey. First of all, I want to find out about how those huge games went. So you got to play wheelchair rugby. You guys are so tough. It's unbelievable. How were the games? Did you love every minute of it?
Yeah, it was fun. I had a great time. Obviously, it didn't turn out how we expected. Came fifth, but it was good, a good learning experience, especially for all of us on the team, being our
Well,
first
and
like.
and to get to be part of the World Games, that's huge. It took a lot of work to get there, didn't it?
Yes, ma'am, I did. It was basically like 7 years of work put in to get to that point.
Well, I want to talk about what got you to this point in the first place, and then we're going to bring in just an unbelievably beautiful human being from TIRR Memorial Hermann, where you were treated. But let's go back in time, Daniel. First of all, I want to show everybody so that they have a sense of how, all the fun things that you've gotten to do of what this looks like. So you have this wheelchair is incredible. I'm sure it's your bestie, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what it's like to play like this. Is it pretty competitive? Is it hard work?
It's super competitive. Something I didn't think it was going to be that competitive, but it's a whole
Mhm.
nother world. It's fun though. It's what I've done growing up my whole life playing sports. So for me to get back, kind of in that atmosphere, be able to
Mhm.
compete at the highest level, I love it. So I wouldn't change
Wow.
it.
Yeah, you're up there, right? As big as it gets. Okay, let's go back in time and talk about what happened. Tell me about your
So
accident.
I was on my way home one night, about 2:30 in the morning. I saw an accident on the other side of the road. I stopped to help. After I helped, I went to get back into my vehicle, and then, from what I'm told, all I know is I was rear-ended from behind, which left me as a C5, C6 quadriplegic, incomplete spinal cord injury. So limited function in my hands, basically paralyzed from about like nipple line down. Some feeling throughout my body, but that's pretty much like my diagnosis and how it went.
And it's just so devastating to hear what you're talking about. But as a medical reporter, we see this all the time, a good Samaritan stopping to make a difference in Houston. And then this happens to you. That's a lot to take. When you say rear-ended from behind, you were standing on the highway when it happened?
So I had just, from what I remember, I'd sat down into my car.
Okay, so
And
you were in the car.
yeah, I just couldn't remember anything from that point on. I just know I was sitting in the driver's seat, and then I was
Mhm.
rear-ended from what they told me. So I don't remember being hit or nothing like that. I just
Yeah.
remember waking up in the hospital wondering what's going on.
It took a lot of rehab to basically bring you back together again, so to speak. Talk to me about that and what that was like.
It was tough at first because I remember being in ICU. They were telling me about like the way it is and how like you have like a roommate. It's like you and another person that has an injury. So I'm thinking like I'm not gonna be able to have like my family there.
Mhm.
I'll be by myself. So it was nerve wracking at first. But once I got there, they were super nice. The doctors, excellent doctors. All the therapists were super cool. Uh, and it's just they treat you well and want to help you get back to living a normal life as possible.
And part of that was encouraging you to try wheelchair rugby, which was incredible. Let's bring in right now this amazing lady I was telling you about, Peggy Turner. Hi, Peggy. So good to see you
Hey there,
again.
Melissa. It's great to
Uh,
see you guys and be here.
well, you have such positive energy. I'm going to move this off of your beautiful face. Here we go. Now we can see you
Oh,
better.
no.
How important is it for someone like Daniel to get into a sport, to get into something that gives their life meaning when they're going through this hard time?
I think just like you said, the importance is how do you find meaning in life again once it's kind of been uprooted and changed and kind of this new life,
Mhm.
what the life you knew taken away and a new life given. It's important for so many reasons. And we promote it through TIRR from a number of perspectives. And one is just finding joy in life again. Because if we're
Mhm.
happy and we have joy in life, then emotionally and physically, and our body chemistry is more likely to stay healthy. But being physically active, as we all know, is no secret, but it's the same for a person with
Mhm.
after they acquire disability, is just the importance of staying physically active. And I think Daniel will tell you he's super completely independent. He's more independent and self-sufficient than many people without a disability, quite
Yeah.
frankly, and probably healthier. There can be a perception that a person with a disability is unhealthy or ill. And like I just said, his physical capabilities right now are really greater than some people without a
Mhm.
disability. So keeping them out of the healthcare system, returning community, being productive citizens in life and family. There's just so many benefits and reasons why it's so critically important. And I call it kind of bridging the gap. And that's a beautiful thing about TIRR Memorial Hermann is we don't have an individual like Daniel say, we've done our job, okay, go home and figure it out. It's like, how
Mhm.
do we help bridge the gap and help you navigate and find out what is possible for you to do in the community you live in? So
Mhm.
I'm on the cool end of the spectrum. I get to do all the fun stuff.
Oh, yeah, well, and you do some incredible stuff to help motivate too and get these kids up and going. Daniel, when you hear Peggy talking about how well you're doing, how do you feel rugby came into that to help your overall well-being, to help make sure that you are physically fit and active quite often?
I think it's big. I think it's bigger than just playing sports, getting back to like playing a sport. It opens up so many different outlets. You meet a lot of great people, their relationships, and
Mhm.
just it makes you physically stronger just for your everyday life. And I think that's the biggest thing that's like helped me is it's made me stronger. So I'm able to transfer on my own, pick up my
Mhm.
wheelchair, able to just be more independent. So it does way more than just you're just playing rugby, and I think that's the biggest thing that I love most about it.
And Peggy, when I take a look at these athletes, you can tell how strong they are just by looking at them. I mean, what all of these guys do. How is it difficult sometimes to make them realize when they're first healing from these catastrophic injuries that they can be that powerhouse, that they can play in a world championship game?
Well, it can be difficult, but I think it's how we approach it. And through
Mhm.
TIRR, we're very involved in finding individuals like Daniel or other athletes. They're so gracious about coming back to that environment that was a traumatic time for them. And so they're in what we call our TIRR peers. And so
Mhm.
if an individual like Daniel goes back to the hospital and meets a patient, it's so much easier for that patient to look in Daniel and go, maybe I can look at like that. Maybe I can do that. So I just think it's
Mhm.
important for life for anyone of us and out there to when you can see someone that sort of looks like you and you don't feel so isolated and lonely. That's another beautiful thing about TIRR is we do help navigate that process. It
Mhm.
can be very discouraging, and then we have a program at TIRR where the recreation therapists and other therapists will take a patient on what we call a community outing to go see this, to see the Daniels and the
Mhm.
Steves and the TIRR team practice and play. And once again, I can stand all day long and tell somebody what they can do. I can show the videos, but there's nothing more powerful than introducing someone directly to a Daniel or a Steve or anyone on our TIRR Texans wheelchair rugby team.
Daniel, how does that make you feel to hear that you are an inspiration to patients who are going through a tough time? That has to be meaningful, I would think.
It is. It feels good knowing that I'm able to help somebody just visually, them seeing that what's capable of being done. Because I remember
Mhm.
being in that position and I
Mhm.
didn't know where I would be. 6 years later, I didn't know if I was gonna have the confidence to like go back to school maybe, start dating again, just be out, be young and enjoy my 20s. So I think I saw everybody that on my Snapchats and Instagram having fun. And I was thinking, like, man, I wish I could be there. You can. And I think that's the biggest thing for them is knowing that there's still a life that you can live. And it's bigger than just playing sports, just getting back to your everyday life and being independent.
Talk to us more about that everyday life for you. We've talked about you stay busy with rugby. What else are you doing right now?
Right now, I'm doing online school at UHD. I'm doing that, and then I'll work part time at a gym whenever I'm not playing rugby. And now that rugby season's starting again, I'm kind of starting to put my focus more onto that and start locking back in. Because my off season is usually whenever we're training for the World Games, and that's usually my off season. So I really didn't have any time to kind of relax this year. But yeah, right now, so I'm just doing online school, trying to finish my major. I'm trying to get a minor in health and wellness, and then a major in interdisciplinary studies at UHD. So I'm working on that right now, and then kind of just taking it day by day, seeing what happens.
Yeah. Well, you're just painting a beautiful picture for a bright future is what you're doing. I love the sound of that. Peggy, I've got to talk to you plenty of times through the years, and you've helped develop a whole lot of Paralympians who have just done an incredible job and made H-Town so proud. What stage of their recovery do you start talking to these patients about perhaps trying to find some type of sport that they could do, some type of adapted sport?
It varies, and oftentimes you can meet someone in the hospital who you just can tell from their nature and personality. They have a bright personality, and maybe that spirit's a little more positive, optimistic. And we have what we call recreation therapists that work inpatient at the hospital, as well as the physical and occupational therapists. So they'll start to help someone kind of unravel this new life and then physically figure out how to navigate just everyday life stuff and getting physically stronger. So sometimes it can be introduced there, and Daniel, I'll invite you to come in on this, but I think sometimes in the inpatient hospital setting, it's so overwhelming, just mentally and emotionally. You woke up one day and then you woke up again another day and your life had changed forever. So we can introduce that this part of it. Maybe it's not the first or second thing, but as soon as someone's kind of alert and asking or seeing, the more that they can go down the halls of the hospital, go into the therapy gym and see pictures and images of the Dannies and the other athletes, it starts to pique them. But I'll often get a call from a physical therapist or an occupational therapist at the inpatient rehab, and they'll say, I've got a Danny, and can you come talk to him? And so I'll go to and meet them. Or at outpatient, they're a little more ready to start going, okay, now I've gone home, I'm figuring out all these things of just daily living that we might take for granted and help navigate. So I feel like the sooner we can make that connection, even at the inpatient level, and then meet them again at outpatient, that there's a chance we can capture someone. I've met many patients that have been back to the hospital a second and a third time or a fourth time, and perhaps they didn't know that these things were an opportunity. The opportunities were an option. So we have found that there are less people who return back to the healthcare setting if they're like the Dannies. They get the information. They get, inpatient, outpatient, and then I'd say once you're hooked, we've got you.
Daniel, do you want to speak on that a little bit of what she was mentioning?
Yeah, it's big because I still now, like, I'll have therapists text me my therapist that I had to talk to new patients that they have, or they say that they have a patient that they would like me to talk to. So I'll do like a FaceTime call with them. And just let them know that, it's early on, I know what you're going through, but just stick it out right now. It's tough being in the hospital for a month, not being able to like just go anywhere. You're eating the same food all the time, and it's tough. But like I said, just getting involved. I wish I would have done it sooner. Get involved in some kind of physical activity, whether it's rugby, basketball, cycling, anything. You just start meeting a whole bunch of people, and you realize it's like its own community. And then you start meeting this guy, and this guy in this wheelchair, this person. So it's good. It's encouraging, and I always just try to let them know that I know I've been in your situation, and there's always a bright side to it.
And you mentioned you wish you had done it sooner. How long did it take you to say, okay, I'm going to try this?
It took me about close to like my second year when I finally said, okay, I'm gonna try it.
Mhm.
I was working out on my own before then because that's what I loved to do before.
Mhm.
But to really get involved in a sport, it took me about like my second year. And it's tough because it's one of those sports where it takes years to get good. It doesn't happen overnight. So I feel like a lot of people get discouraged because they see somebody that's faster, better, but it takes time, and that's what you have to come to realize.
And you just have to hang in there, right? And you just have to do it. What I understand that you met the coach too, and he was really encouraging you, right? Because he had also been in a catastrophic car accident, and so he could really relate with what you're going through.
Yeah, so the first night that I pulled up to the practice, I was just watching, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool." And my dad was like, "Oh, you don't have to do it if you don't want." So I was like, telling everybody bye, and he was like, "No, you're gonna get in a chair, you're gonna sit in it and see what it feels like." And after that, I came back ever since, and here
Peggy,
we
do you
are
see
today.
that happen sometimes where they say, nope, not going to take no for an answer for a minute and see what happens?
I have a little bit of a competitive nature and spirit, and oh my goodness, there's nothing I love more for someone to roll into a gym and say, "Yeah, no, not for me." And I kind of laugh. It's a traumatic time for that person, but I
Mhm.
know if I can get them in the chair, if one of the coaches can, they get hooked. And I've done it with wheelchair basketball, wheelchair rugby, any of these adapted sports. There's fear. This is brand new. It's almost
Yeah.
like, and not to minimize adults, but an adult is in their infancy of their
Mhm.
disability. So you almost have to be
Mhm.
sensitive to a point of this is brand new, and
Yeah.
there's all those fears of what do I look like? How do I? But
Mhm.
yes, if you can be a little firm, not give somebody much of an option, and get them in that chair for the
Mhm.
first time, and they see that the chair even moves differently. It's a little more
Yeah.
agile and easier to manipulate and move, and that they can do it. Sometimes just that first step or transfer into a sport
Mhm.
chair makes all the difference in the world.
And Daniel, I take a look at you with the team and I think about you're surrounded by all these people who understand your life and what you're going through. That camaraderie has got to be like none other.
Yeah, it's great. Personally, I didn't know any of these guys before, so I got to, you know, make some good relationships with a lot of them,
Mhm.
and now they're like brothers to me. I still talk to them, and it's good. And I know more people around the league, and just like I said, just to build relationships with people is the biggest thing because being young, you learn so much. A lot of these guys are
Yeah.
older, and they just
Mhm.
teach me things, and kind of guide me in the right direction, what to look forward to. And that's the biggest thing I think about all this is just how much it'll help you in your normal life. It's bigger
Mhm.
than just playing sports and being competitive.
Well, you are quite the inspiration, Daniel. Thank you for sharing your journey with us. Peggy, thanks for being a bright light in our community and making such a difference in a lot of lives. Bless you both. Loved having you as our guests on Lunch for the Soul today.
Thank you so much for
Thank you for
having
having me.
us, because as this airs and people see it, maybe there is someone sitting at home here in Houston that we've missed. And so
Mhm.
thank you, Melissa, so much for having us on and letting Daniel speak. And maybe somebody will see this and see what's possible. I'm going to
Yeah.
call you and tell you that we saved one when
Oh,
that
I love
happens.
it. Please keep us updated, and I'll update this as
Yes.
well. All right. You keep up the good work, Daniel, of inspiring people, and let us know about the big championship coming up. Anything else you have going on, you let us know.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having us.
You know we'll be cheering you on every step of the way. All right. Great to
Thank
see
you.
you. And then I want to remind you that if you happen to have joined us late today, you can always find us on Fox 26's YouTube page. Just look for Lunch for the Soul in Houston, and you'll be able to find us. Fox 26 is a place to go. And then if you have any ideas, you can always reach out to me if you want to be on Lunch for the Soul. Melissa.wilson@fox.com. Shoot me an email. I'll see what I can do to get you on here. I'd love to talk to you. Thanks for being here. Have a beautiful and blessed day. Thanks for blessing us by being here. See ya.